right, so I want to bring back now Tricia McLaughlin, an Assistant Secretary in the Department of Homeland Security. We were just talking about that situation in Atlanta, Georgia, where that mom and grandmother, now we know, before she died, was raped, and that the suspect, illegal immigrant, confirmed, raped allegedly, and also has necrophilia, that is a sexual attraction to dead bodies. I mean, the details are unreal. Tricia.
It's sickening, Harris, and just so preventable. The Biden-Harris administration allowed tens of thousands, millions of people to illegally enter this country, and then they hamstrung our ICE agents so that they could not arrest these individuals. They just put them back into the interior of our country. But Secretary Noem and President Trump were handed this unprecedented crisis, and they have met it with unprecedented action. Deportation numbers are up 50% in the last few weeks. Arrest numbers are even more than we had last year. We have real action, and that's saving lives every single day. Our border is more secure than in all of American history, Harris.
Look, you have a front row seat to something that I would guess you've never seen before, because you are on the team of Donald Trump, of the President of the United States, and also Kristi Noem, the Secretary of DHS. I know you've been traveling with her, so I'm really eager to get your thoughts on a few things. We'll go here with one. A new report reveals, Tricia, that some illegal immigrants are becoming more receptive to the idea of self-deporting. A New York Times reporter went to Denver, which absorbed the most illegal immigrants and migrants per capita of any city. One Venezuelan national who arrived in the city in 2023 and requested asylum says he completely changed his mind since Trump took office. He's made an appointment to request a voluntary departure. A new poll shows a majority of U.S. adults approve of the president's push to deport those who are here illegally. What's your response to this sort of twist to the story? They're going to raise their hand and say, yeah, I'll go home next.
We're seeing sky-high levels of reverse migration, people turning around at our southern border. But ever since President Trump and Secretary Noem unleashed this CBP Home app to voluntarily self-deport, we're seeing those numbers rise as well. It's a great, easy tool for illegal immigrants to use to leave now, and there's the possibility that they could return legally the right way and go forth to live the American dream. But they must leave now, and we're very pleased that Secretary Noem's message is out in the world loud and clear, and that people are actually doing so.
All right, let's talk about your most recent trip with Secretary Kristi Noem on her first Latin American tour as head of Homeland Security. You visited Mexico, Colombia, El Salvador. That's where President Trump sent those deportation flights of illegal immigrants, many with gang ties or suspected other types of violent crime ties. Secretary Noem had a message from the very prison where they are now incarcerated.
You come to our country illegally, this is one of the consequences you could face. First of all, do not come to our country illegally. You will be removed and you will be prosecuted. But know that this facility is one of the tools in our toolkit that we will use if you commit crimes against the American people.
She also met with Mexico's president, who sent 10,000 troops to the border to avoid President Trump's proposed tariffs earlier this month. The secretary called that a positive step. And she added, however, there's still much work to be done to stop the flow of drugs and illegal immigrants into our country. So tell me what you saw on that trip.
Secretary Noem came face to face with the worst of the worst. These are Tren de Aragua members. These are people who have killed dozens of people, murder, rape, kidnap, drug trafficking, Harris, you name it, truly the worst of the worst. But I thought Secretary Noem showed such leadership, such results. I mean, the juxtaposition between Vice President Harris going down south and saying, don't, versus Secretary Noem actually showing up and saying, I want every criminal, illegal alien in our country to see this message. If you are thinking about coming to our country illegally, do not. We will track you down, hunt you down, arrest you, and you will be locked up in a place like this.
Wow, and to go into that fold and to say it on their ground like that, a place where many of them may never see the outside of a cell again, amazing. Well, critics are saying that innocent people are being swept up in the illegal gang member deportation operations. And I caught this on your X. You responded to a guy who said just that very thing in a post pointing to a specific individual. You wrote this: DHS intelligence assessments go well beyond just gang-affiliated tattoos. This man's own social media indicates he is a member of of Tren de Aragua. What were you talking about there, and what was the pushback?
We have very intense scrutiny and intelligence assessments for these members of Tren de Aragua that we send to El Salvador and to other prisons. The mainstream media is absolutely doing the bidding of these vicious gang members that they're sharing false sob stories. It's really ridiculous, and it's actually very dangerous for our law enforcement that they're doing these things. It goes far beyond their social media posts or tattoos, which is the misnomer that many of the mainstream media is relying upon. We have very great confidence in our intelligence.
Well, and I've noticed, too, from talking to the border czar, Tom Homan, and now with you, Tricia, and others, that there can be other investigations that are going on. So, of course, you're going to be careful about who you scoop up and who you don't scoop up right away. I mean, it's just old-fashioned great law enforcement that's being carried out. Look, you mentioned false sob stories and other actions by some in the liberal media. And I guess by some, I would need for somebody to show me an example of them not doing it at this point. But you talk about that. Is that kind of a distraction? Does that work against what you're trying to accomplish at the DHS?
Well, I think Secretary Noem has just done a phenomenal job, not only in the results and the action, but in the messaging. I mean, you're seeing it for yourself. The self-deportation numbers are continuing to rise. We're seeing sky-high reverse migration. But I think it really speaks to the culture of the media today, is that they're willing to do the bidding of these gang members, these vicious, vicious gangs, but they're not willing to share the stories of the victims of these gangs. I've yet to get a question about the individuals who are kidnapped or the families of those who are murdered or raped.
Yeah. All right. Well, I want to be the person to ask that today, fresh back off of a break. And I've been watching this whole story unfold with this maniac, accused murderer, rapist, and into necrophilia down in Georgia. What happens to those people who, God bless them, if they are even left alive?
We will prosecute these individuals to the greatest extent of the law. El Salvador and Guantanamo Bay is exactly where these kind of guys are going to go. But Harris, you should see what comes across my desk, my team's desk, and Secretary Noem's desk every single day. Lists of these individuals who are arrested, child abusers, kidnappers, rapists. It's stunning that for the past 4 years, these individuals have been allowed to walk our streets. They are truly monsters and have no place in American society.
Well, and you were saying that you hadn't been asked about the victims of those crimes. I would imagine that's a mighty job of DHS, too, because you are the first responders as you break open these crimes. You're there, hopefully, with the victims.
And thank God for our ICE officers who work so hard every single day, day in and day out. It's disgusting that the mainstream media does try to villainize these individuals. They're heroes. They're patriots.
Tricia McLaughlin, thank you. First time on the program. Great to have you.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.